the Biden administration announcing a new rule to try and speed up asylum processing at the southern border. The rule would allow ICE officials to first decide asylum claims instead of immigration courts. This as over 212,000 migrants were apprehended in the month of July. That's 7,000 people a day. Joining me right now is Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton, who has been trying to fight this lawlessness at the border now for the last 7 months. AG Ken Paxton, good to see you this morning. Give us an assessment and your reaction to what the Biden administration is doing now at the border.
Yeah, my guess is that's a response to our recent win last week, the Stay in Mexico program that the President Trump started. And so they're having to respond to the fact that they're supposed to send these people back to Mexico. Instead of doing that, it looks like to me they're trying to speed that process up. It's going to be interesting to watch to see if the percentage of those seeking asylum goes way up.
Oh, I see. So it's just more playing loose with the law, which is what we've seen from this administration from day one. You know, I spoke with a border source over the weekend, and he's told me he's not expecting the administration to enforce the Remain in Mexico policy. We know that the federal judge ordered the administration to put back in place the Remain in Mexico policy. But my source at the border says that's not what it feels like on the ground. Could they do that? Or maybe they're just trying to get around it with moves like this?
Look, they can try to not enforce something that a federal judge told them they have to. We'll take them back to court. But I would not disagree with his assessment, given the fact that I've talked to Border Patrol, I've talked to the chief of Border Patrol, and he told me from the time that Biden came into office, he has not once been asked to try to stem the tide of illegal immigration. He was always discouraged from doing that. And so that's one of the reasons he was pushed out.
Unbelievable. This surge in migrants, we are at the highest that we've been so far. It's obviously dominating the border, Ken, but it is not dominating the news. According to Media Research Center, in March, ABC, NBC, and CBS spent 113 minutes on the border subject. But in July, they spent 4 minutes, 96% drop. It feels like Fox News is the only one covering this crisis, Ken. We've had people go to that border, as you know, over the last several years. But this year, we have a spotlight on the situation morning, noon, and night. And let me tell you something else that my border source told me last week, that right now we are taking resources from all of the other borders. So the longest border in the world is the border with Canada. We're taking resources there to put on the southern border. We're doing the same thing from the coastal borders of Louisiana and Florida. So both of those borders are now with no security. And he also told me, as far as COVID, just in the last several days, 80 people in terms of agents have now COVID. He said that they're out sick. People are afraid. 20% of the migrants are being tested, are coming up with COVID. So you've got a COVID crisis on top of a border crisis.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I'm not surprised that news coverage on what Trump would call fake news has gone way down, given the disaster that's going on the border. But that's absolutely right. We've got tremendous risk with COVID, the spread of COVID with these people coming across. They're not vaccinated. They're not required to be vaccinated. They come in, they're not tested, and then they're sent all over the country. So not only do we have border agents, as time goes on, we're going to see people infected across the United States. And that may be one of the reasons that the COVID is increasing right now. That's certainly been downplayed by the media, but I think that is obviously having an impact.
Now, obviously, we have a terrorist situation underway. It feels like, obviously, Afghanistan is being held hostage to the Taliban. Are you worried that we could see terrorists come in their open border as well? I know that MS-13 members were already arrested.
Yeah, so we already have that with the cartel gaining strength along the border because of the opportunities that they have under the Biden policies. But absolutely, that was one of the things that I've talked to the border agents about. They're more worried about this. I mean, immigration is a subcategory of national security, and they're definitely worried about the fact that we have, I think, over 150 countries now that are coming across the border. And so there's tremendous opportunity. If you want to be a terrorist, there's certainly a lot of opportunity to cross the border and just come on in, because that's the policy of the Biden administration.
What else can you do as AG of Texas? What else can you do to fight back against this radical agenda and all of this, all of these massive mistakes, ignoring these crises?
So really two things. One is come on shows like yours where you actually talk about the real issues and how they're affecting not just Texas and border states, but really the United States. So I just try to make people aware so that they realize what their government is doing. And second, we'll continue to fight the Biden administration in court as they ignore federal law and invite people to come in, not just let them come in, but literally invite them to come in violation of federal law. And we'll continue to try to hold them accountable as we've got 5 lawsuits going against them right now related to just immigration.
Yeah, I know. You've sued them 5 times over this. AG Ken Paxton will be watching. Thanks very much for being here this morning. We so appreciate
Thank
your
you. Have a great day.
AG Paxton in Texas. Thank you, sir.